Oh, and that's a brilliant effort, and they've turned it right around. In the space of a few minutes, Saudi Arabia grabbed control of the game.
Hello everyone, welcome to the latest episode of Dawri, the Saudi football podcast, brought to you of course by Arab News. This week the big news comes from neighbouring UAE, where Al-Ain have been crowned Asian Champions League winners, a truly remarkable achievement and one which Arab football fans should celebrate wherever they are. With me as always is Arab News sports editor Ali Khaled, and we're also going to be discussing the final days of the Saudi Pro League as well as Roberto Mancini's squad for the upcoming 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Only one place to start though today, AK. Congratulations to Al-Ain on winning the AFC Champions League.
Hi, Pete. Good to be back. Absolutely, fantastic achievement. Momentous day for the Emirati club. Congratulations, as you see, are in order for the team and for Coach Hernan Crespo, who's done a fantastic job. This is their second title after winning the competition in 2003, I should say. This time they had to overturn a first leg 2-1 deficit against Japan's Yokohama Marinos, and they did it in some style, crushing 5-1 win against opponents that went down to 10 men. But still, Al-Ain fully deserved a win. I think we won't talk about the final in more details later with our guest. But just quickly on the season that Al-Ain have had in the Champions League, as I say, it was a much deserved title win. But what a journey Al-Ain had to get there in the first place. They easily won Group A, but the knockout stages were anything but straightforward. In the round of 16, they beat Nassr of Uzbekistan 2-1 on aggregate. But after that, they had opponents that few of us thought they'd overcome. If you remember, Peter, throughout the season, both you and I and many of our guests were saying that we couldn't see anyone stopping the Saudi teams in the Champions League. We really thought, like they were just like juggernauts, Well, Al-Ain stopped not one, but two. And not just any two, but Cristiano Ronaldo and Al-Nassr in the quarterfinals, and then Al-Hilal in the semi-final. Truly astonishing stuff.
You deserve it if you beat those two, don't you?
Absolutely, mate. It's fun. I'm so pleased for them that having won those two, they didn't fall at the final hurdle. Having beaten Al-Nassr 1-0 at home, they lost 4-3 in Riyadh in the second half, but still held their nerves to go through on penalties. Really, really difficult circumstances as well. The semi-final was even better. Al-Ain absolutely blinched the invincible world record-breaking Al-Hilal in the first leg, particularly in the opening period. The brilliant Moroccan Soufiane Rahimi, who I'm sure our guest is going to talk about, scored a hat-trick on the way to a 4-2 win, and despite losing the return leg 2-1 in Riyadh, reached the final, and now they are champions. Fairy tale stuff. Brilliant.
Amazing, Ali. As you say, we were all expecting one or the other Saudi teams to win. And don't forget, Al-Ittihad, still Saudi champions at the time, made the quarterfinals as well, and were, of course, knocked out by Al-Hilal, as we know. It's been a wonderful, wonderful tournament. Speaking of Al-Hilal and Al-Nassr, they faced each other yet again in the SPL, a curtain raiser for our own Kings Cup final on May 31. And our man, Khaled Al-Arafah, was there.
Hi Ali, hi Peter, how are you guys? So a big match took place this week in Riyadh, Riyadh's big derby, Al-Nassr versus Al-Hilal. That match was in Al-Awwal Park. I covered that match from the stadium. We all knew from the beginning that Al-Hilal already won the Russian League and Nassr already came second, so the score was not going to change anything. It's just for the history or for the record of those two teams. And let me tell you this, Ali, those two teams played 31 matches since the Saudi League became professional. Al-Hilal won in 16 matches and Nassr in 9 matches, and the draw came in 6 matches. The match started very well for Al-Nassr. Probably the fastest goal of the season, Otavio scored the goal for Al-Nassr. After that, Ronaldo missed a lot of chances, probably 3 chances in front of the goal. Al-Hilal as well missed a couple of chances. We waited until the 90th minute. The referee gave 10 minutes extra time, and in the last minute, Saud Abdelhamid gets a penalty for Al-Hilal. Alexander Mitrovic scored the equalizer for Al-Hilal. Interesting match. Teles, the player for Al-Nassr, told me in a flash interview, he said, we knew from the beginning that this game was going to be tough. We were prepared for it. And I asked him, are we going to say the same style, same strategy in the final match? He said, definitely no. We're going to train harder. We're going to try our best to win this match. And we'll do our best to end the season with a trophy. Until the next round, Ali, I'll get back to you.
Thank you to Khaled for that. That late equalizer, of course, maintains Al-Hilal's unbeaten record in the league this season. And now they have one more league match away at Al-Wahda to complete an invincible season. We've run out of words and superlatives for them. Of course, Al-Ain took away that long winning streak, but they still have this unbeaten streak in the league this season. Just fantastic.
Absolutely brilliant. Listen, before we introduce today's guest, a quick word on the Saudi Arabia national team. Something that fascinates me when we turn to the international side. Roberto Mancini's squad for the World Cup qualifiers, Ali.
Yeah, he's named a few days ago. He named a 31-man squad. Not too many surprises, except perhaps for the return of Sultan Al-Ghannam, who, if you remember, had been one of the group of players dropped by Mancini for disciplinary reason. I think there were like 5 or 6 of them. So he's back on Twitter, or X now, as it's called. He said it's an honor to play for his country and thank the management for giving him another chance. So, some positive news there. The SPL obviously, ends on Monday. The players, the squad will meet up for the start of the training camps on Thursday. Initially, that will be with Al-Hilal and Al-Nassr players, of course, who have the cup final. Saudi Arabia will play Pakistan on June 6th in Islamabad and host Jordan on June 11th in Riyadh. So, yeah, those are we look forward to.
Busy summer of sport and football, yep. Ali. Time to bring in Middle East football expert Matt Monaghan, who's beaming following his own team's glory in another league. So we'll bring him in. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Very well, very well. Congratulations to you and your team on a cup win. It seems to be the time of the season around the globe for cup wins. Great to have you with us as always. Now, I'm just looking at Ali here, our sports editor from Arab News. He's got a list as long as his arm of questions for you. So take it away, Ali.
Matt, good to see you again.
Hi, mate.
Big day for you yesterday, watching your beloved Manchester United beat Manchester City in the cup final, and then of course the big one, Al-Ain winning the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, what a day! And Al-Ain, I think that's just over 2 decades worth of work have gone into this for the club. I think they've been. I don't think anyone can question that they are the best team in Asia, certainly the Asian Champions League. Whether they're the best team in Asia, that's another debate. But I think they've been very much the pick of the teams. 5 wins, 1 defeat in the group stage. Crespo comes in for the knockouts. You get past Nassr and Hilal. And, nobody really gave them any chance in both those games. And I'd say over the course of 2 legs against both the Saudi Giants, they deserve to win. And then against Yokohama Marinos, I was just looking in regulation time. Marinos were only ahead for 14 minutes in the entire tie, so I think that speaks volumes. Al-Ain obviously lost the first leg 2-1, but then roared back in the second leg. And I think they were by far the better team. And I think interestingly, it leads to a bigger question looking ahead. East versus West. The East has dominated the AFC Champions League for much of the last decade or more. Obviously, Uruguay defeating Al-Hilal last season, but it does feel that things are starting to move the opposite direction now. So, will this be a sign of more success for this region?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think as I mentioned earlier in the show, throughout the season, myself and Peter and lots of the guests, we couldn't see really beyond the Saudi teams. We really thought the Saudi teams were the ones to stop. There was 3, of course, with 4 with Maha, but like 3 with the Ittihad in the quarterfinals, and we really thought either Al-Nassr or Al-Hilal would do it. But so fantastic achievement by Al-Ain, but obviously again, strong representation from the region. So a little bit about the final. How did you enjoy last night's match?
Oh, I just thought it was incredible. Again, you've already mentioned him, but Sufyan Rahimi, what a performance! I was looking through. I'll mention last night, then also just his tournament at large. So last night he won the penalty for Al-Ain's second goal. A really intelligent angled run to stay on side to draw the red card for maybe the defining incident of both the ties. 2 goals, 1 assist. Linking back up with Kodjo Fodo-Labo. That for me, I think people who've listened to this podcast before, I love Kodjo Fodo-Labo. He's the star striker for Al-Ain. He's had quite a curious relationship with him and Hernan Crespo. But Labo came on just before the hour mark last night, scored 2 goals, 2 wonderful celebrations. He's a player who scores lots of goals and seems to appreciate everyone he scores. Amazing scenes when he scored. And linking back up for Rahimi, this is what I find quite curious about the Crespo tenure so far, is that Rahimi and Labo are absolutely electric together. But he's chosen quite largely to disconnect the two. But anyway, back to Rahimi, 13 goals, 5 more than anyone else. 3 goals against Al-Nassr, a hat-trick against Al-Hilal, recalled to the Morocco squad. I mean, what a time for him.
Fantastic. And, you mentioned Crespo there, not playing the two of them together, but what is, obviously, we got to give so much credit for him, his influence on this team to go ahead and win the tournament. How have you seen his influence?
Yeah, it's curious, isn't it, that domestically they've had real disappointments under him. They've at times in certain games looked like the best team in the UAE, but it's just not consistently been able to bring that together. They're well off the pace of Al-Wasl. And then I guess disappointing results, they made the Added Cup, which is the League Cup final, where they played Al-Wada off the park, but Al-Wada won 1-0. But then you look at what he's done in Asia, it's just absolutely remarkable. And for him as well, Crespo came to Al-Ain. He had won a continental club trophy before in his time in leading teams in South America. Obviously, he began his career as a player winning continental trophies with River Plate almost 3 decades ago now. And he's just, I guess as well, he has such gravitas, doesn't he, Hernan Crespo? You say the name Hernan Crespo and it holds such weight. And I think that's been a big part as well of, I guess he must have given belief to the players. He's been there, he's done it before on multiple times, certainly as a player. And that must have helped when Al-Ain were coming up against Al-Hilal and Al-Nassr in particular.
Yeah, Matt, you obviously cover UAE football extensively, as much as you do Saudi football, of course. But how do you see this win impacting, Emirati football? Whether it's the league, their performance in the Champions League, of course, but how will that boost the league? How do you see that also having an impact on the national team?
So I think obviously it brings eyeballs to the competition, brings eyeballs to UAE football. It's been, I think if you look beyond the borders of the UAE, I think if you look within the borders, someone who's covered ADNOC Pro League extensively for, a decade now, the product on the pitch has got better. Attendances have definitely got better. The foreign players and local players, particularly with the residency rules, that has been a huge boost to the quality of the league. But then, most of the time, internal UAE football, it doesn't get too many eyeballs. You're looking more external. So how have they done the World Cups? Well, they've not made a World Cup since 1990. They finished, obviously, 3rd consecutive Asian Cups, and the recent Asian Cup under Paolo Bento is such a disappointment, apart from the brilliance of Sultan Adil, who maybe points to a brighter future. The Richard Kalber forward on loan from Shabab Al-Ali, he scored a few goals in the Asian Cup. It was a dreadful disappointment. World Cup qualifying started well under Paolo Bento. They're already through to the next round. And you just hope that this can give some confidence going ahead to the players. And also, a broader thing is that the UAE national team is about to drastically change with, there's been a long-term project of bringing resident players in with a view to the 5-year residency fee for qualifications so they can play for the senior team. And a vast wave of players are about to qualify from this summer, including one of them, Kwame Otonia, who admittedly made a mistake last night for Yokohama's goal, but he's a highly promising centre-back who's turned down call-ups to the Ivory Coast before. So it's just all about, I guess, adding strength, adding belief, showing that UAE teams can do it. It's Al-Ain are the only team to win the AFC Champions League from the UAE. They've made the final, I think, on 2 other occasions. The old Al-Ali made the final on another occasion, have been beaten. Yeah, it's a chance to show that it's not all about Saudi Arabia.
Fantastic stuff. Thanks, Matt. And moving on to Saudi Arabia, actually, good time. Obviously, Al-Hilal wrapped up the title quite a while back, and that even then it had been expected from us. So I think, maybe the top of the table was a little bit of I wouldn't say anticlimax, but it decided a while back, after that initial, obviously, great chase by Al-Nassr on Al-Hilal. Once Al-Hilal, put that gap between them, it was expected. And of course, Al-Nassr finished second. So I think attention turns to the other end of the table. I know you and I were chatting the other day, and you mentioned that you were going to keep an eye on the relegation battle. How do you see that? Yeah.
Well, I've kept more than an eye on it. It's been keeping me very busy with my commentaries for SSC. So the other day I did Al-Hilal versus Al-Khalid, and on Monday night, Monday is the finale to the Roshan Saudi League. I've got a bet that effectively works out as a relegation shootout between Al-Ain and Al-Nassr. So the 18th bottom place Al-Hazm are long since relegated, but then you've got 2 points separates 4 clubs with 2 set to go down, and the bottom and second bottom and third bottom meet each other on Monday night. So talk about pressure on that match. It's ridiculous. And also the thing is as well, like Al-Ain and Al-Nassr, one of them might emerge victorious, and it might not be enough for them to stay up. So it's just a huge night. Again, I think the other one as well was important element. Particularly, we've got the rebranded AFC Champions League format to come, and Al-Ittihad, as we speak, will not be qualifying for AFC Champions League 2. They are 2 points behind Al-Tawan, who sit in that position. So there's still very much something to play for there, because the AFC have been eager to bolster that secondary continental competition. And Al-Tawan, I think they've been the dark horse of our season. What a story. But there is also the glamour element of Al-Ittihad. Now, if Al-Ittihad can get into AFC Champions League 2, that makes the competition a whole lot more interesting, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's been a very disappointing season for Al-Ittihad. There's no way around it. Champions, good start and all that. But, at every stage, even those times, Matt, you would say, like, we thought maybe they'd turn a corner. Obviously Gallardo came in. It's been disappointing, and I think if they end up, missing out completely, I think there might be some major changes next year. Obviously, we'll wait and see how the transfer window is. Is it going to be as big as last year? That's another question. You would imagine maybe some of the, Al-Hilal, I'm not sure, how much they're going. Don't forget, Neymar comes back, of course, and all that. Al-Nassr seem to be, stacked with such a strong forward line and strong players. It makes me wonder whether these clubs will, maybe signing a whole bunch of other players would mean some will have to leave. It might be destabilize them. But, obviously with Ittihad, we'll wait and see. I think there's going to be changes there.
Yeah, it will be very interesting, because I guess it's a whole different economies of scale. As me and you, Ali, we've covered Middle East football for longer than we can remember. And it's in the past, when budgets are smaller, contracts are smaller, relatively speaking, a team like Al-Hilal could, on a regular basis, change whatever the rules were at the time. 4 foreigners for a long time. That number's ticked up over the years, but now you've got enormous, huge players on absolutely mammoth contracts. So I think intrinsically there has to be less movement, because you can't just mothball these players, and you can't necessarily even transfer them out, because the contracts they're on, other clubs in other nations are just not going to want to match that. So I would imagine, but you never know, because you never want to be definitive, do you, when you're looking at Middle East football. But I think certainly for teams like Hilal, Nassr and Ali, I think there'll just be refinements to their foreign quota. And obviously, I think the big exciting one for next season is the young foreign players who are now allowed to sign. So it'll be interesting to see what type of players they target for that, how ambitious they are with those signings as well. But for Ittihad, obviously, we've also seen the send-off, and they deserve that big send-off. Mourinho and Grohe getting a nice send-off last week. They've been such incredible servants to that club. We've already seen Igor Coronado leave earlier in the season as well. So there is that change. I mean, I wonder. Hamdallah is linked with an exit, isn't he? Every transfer window, but he seems to still stay there. But I wonder if he will go as well this summer. So I think there is a lot more. I think there'll be a lot more movement at Al-Ittihad compared to other clubs. So I guess for Nassr and Hilal, I mean, I think Bruno Fernandes. That seems to be there's stuff ticking over there, isn't there? Bruno Fernandes. Even yesterday, he wasn't definitively committing his future to Man United. Obviously, I think it's well documented that Ronaldo would love him at Al-Nassr. And we saw the links, didn't we, in midweek? The very exciting links to Rafael Leao for Al-Hilal. I think Al-Hilal will probably just think, they probably just want to, I think Mikhail, as brilliant a servant as he has been to Al-Hilal, that's, I think, probably the foreign spot they will look to improve in the summer. And we'll look to bring in, if he can bring in Rafael Leao, that would be absolutely incredible.
That would be incredible. I mean, one of the talents in European football, and like a player that most top clubs in Europe would love to have, if he was to move to Saudi Arabia, would be an absolute coup, I think. Just a quick word, I'm glad you mentioned Romarinho, Groha and Hamdallah, actually, because, one of the things we've done throughout the season is, including yourself, Matt, is like we've time and again said that there were foreign players who have been, knocking about in the Saudi league for years before, the influx of last summer, and they deserve, the credit, for being, we talk about Cristiano Ronaldo being a pioneer. Of course, he brought in all the high profile names, but, we should give credit to those players who have been here for years, performing season in, season out, so great that you mentioned those three. Great stuff. Just a quick word finally, King's Cup, you looking forward to that?
Yeah, it should be a great one, shouldn't it? I mean, I guess it's a chance for Ronaldo. I guess Al-Nassr began the season with victory as well in one cup competition, looking to end it with another against Al-Hilal. Again, I think you do just have to favour Al-Hilal. It's difficult to go against them in any match, isn't it? But it should be a tense one. It should be a tight one, and you just know that Ronaldo's going to be so fired up for that way.
Yeah.
So go on then, Matt. For the last time this season, give us a prediction.
I'm going to go 2-1 Al-Hilal, but I'm not going to say that with great conviction. I think a lot could happen in that game. I really see it. It really is like a coin toss between those two teams.
I've got the same score written down here as well. Same question posed to you, Sport Editor AK. What have you got for us?
I'm going to be a little bit controversial on this one because although I do think, Hilal have been obviously the best team in Saudi Arabia. I've watched two cup finals in the last week. Leverkusen against Atalanta, and we expected Leverkusen to win, and Atalanta upset them. Manchester United, we expected City to beat them, and Manchester United really put on an excellent performance to win. I think it's a season of upsets, so I'm going to go. I mean, it's and it's honestly like with Cristiano and Al-Nassr, it's not it wouldn't be an absolute major upset either. They are a brilliant team, so I'm going to go for Al-Nassr. I'm going to go 2-1 to Al-Nassr. Okay,
wow, brilliant stuff. Thanks as always. To Matt Monaghan and, of course, our very own Ali Khaled. That's it for another episode of Dawri. When we see you next, the Saudi season will be over. But I can promise you there's going to be plenty to look back on and a couple of surprises for you. That's it for another episode of Dawri. Stay safe.